This is going to be pretty much 5 minutes of examples. Your four options for choices for types of studies are survey, simulation, observation, and experiment. So, in number one, in a test of roughly 200 men and women, those with high blood pressure did worse on tests of memory and reaction time than those with normal blood pressure. This looks like there are two variables, so it's experimental or observational. And you have to think of, are these people manipulating something? No, this is observational. There's only two variables. They're just going to look for a correlation for this. No one is manipulating one of the variables. They're not giving people high blood pressure. They're taking people's blood pressure. They're saying, okay, if you have high blood pressure, go in this room, low blood pressure, go in this room. And then they're doing the same memory and reaction test. Number two, it was found that subjects fed the DASH diet were able to lose more weight than subjects fed a regular diet. This is going to be where you manipulate one of the variables. So you manipulate the diet X and you see the effects on weight Y, and then you are able to make a more confident conclusion, potentially, depending on your results, whether the DASH diet affects your weight. Number three, you are interested in studying how an audience responds to karaoke singers. This is observational. You are looking at the audience interest is one variable, and then the karaoke as the other variable. So whether the karaoke is good or bad or whatever. I think you might have an argument for saying this is just a survey in a way, but just be careful because your explanation for your answer choice is going to really tell someone whether you understand the concept or not. So always think about having a reason for why you would pick one or the other. Number four, Anne wants to study whether people waiting in line for a roller coaster ride wish there were more roller coasters at the amusement park. This is a survey. This is just one variable. You will say, do you wish there were more roller coasters? And they will say yes or no. This is actually a biased survey. So, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in a couple weeks, I mean. But for now, as long as you know that's a survey, then you're good to go. All right, number five, you are interested in how fast a virus would spread through a large city. So obviously it would be unethical to just release a virus in that type of way. But, it's good to know, like, in some variables, how the virus would spread. So in this case, you could do a computer simulation. So that would be like your best option. And the other options would potentially be illegal, but they're definitely unethical and dangerous. Don conducts a research study comparing the risk of developing lung cancer between smokers and non-smokers. So you see this word comparing right here, and it's observational. You're not going to control one of the variables of smoking, and it would be unethical to make one group smoke, even if they would want to volunteer to become a smoker just for an experiment, then that doesn't necessarily mean it's an ethical experiment. And in this case, you would only be able to speak about correlation if you conducted an observational study like this. A group of students is interested in knowing whether the fact that they used a red basketball made them lose the game. Okay, so if something's making something happen, then it's implying cause and effect. So this is an experiment, and another way to think about this is that you can change the color of the ball, and then you can see if there's any other different outcomes or whether the outcomes are the same. George wants to know the probability that a fair coin shows tails 30% of the time. So this is great. On one hand, George could probably just sit and flip a coin, right? But either way, he would need a lot of trials. And when you're running a probability trial, it's called a simulation. So whether you are doing it yourself or if George can use a computer to run the simulation using random numbers, because like having a lot of trials would be the best. And if you're like flipping a coin, you're not always using the same coin flipping method. So either way, it's a simulation for George.